Welcome, Bearcat fans, to another exciting episode of Bearcats on the Prowl, part of the Grueling Truth Radio Network. As always, I'm your host, James Ernest. We have, of course, Dominick Goodman, our co-host, and Mark Fightmaster. Mark, who's our guest this week?
Well, this week we're getting away from the pigskin. We're looking at a little basketball right off the bat, and we're going to interview Terry Nelson, member of the 1992 Final Four team. So, Terry, welcome to the show, man. It's an honor to have you.
Man, it's always good to be here.
So it sounds like it's going to be an exciting year at UC. What are your thoughts on with them being rated so highly at the start of the year?
Well, they worked on it, and they deserve it. They had a good end to the year. They had some tough losses last year, going 21-11, and you lose 6 games by 1 possession, a couple games by 4 points. Your biggest loss is 10 points at Xavier. Ball bounces one way or the other, a different way, and we're talking about close to a 30-win team. That's a top 10 team, and it's a different story. So they worked all off season. They didn't really like how the season ended early in the tournament, especially the one out in the conference tournament versus UConn, and then you come back and you go and you advance to the NCAA tournament, and you lose to a hot St. Joe's. And so all off-season, guys dedicated to shaping their bodies and getting to the gym and changing their shots and getting repetition and dropping weight. And it was just everybody was focused, and they really believed that they could have something special based on what was coming back and what was coming in.
Yeah, based on who's coming back, who do you feel is really, and you were mentioning about making improvement, who do you feel has really stepped their game up?
It's not even close. Justin Jennifer will be my off-season MVP. I mean, I didn't even think this guy was a Division I player at a certain point in the season last year because he lost his confidence. He couldn't make a shot. His shot was sideways. He was overweight, too heavy for his body to be quick. If you're going to be a small guy, you either got to be a knockdown shooter or you got to be able to be a burner from floor to floor, and he was neither. And so I didn't know if he was going to transfer, but to his credit, he used the off-season, lost 20 pounds, totally reshaped his body, got quicker, changed his shot. He no longer shoots knuckleball where the ball is rotating like a hemisphere going side to side. He got his thumb off the ball, got the ball over his head, and now he can't even miss in practice. I mean, he sat all off-season. Now, it's hard to do that with an 8th grader. I remember hearing the story of how Steph Curry changed his shot and didn't travel with the team during the AAU season to Orlando, and he devoted himself, and it killed him because he wanted to go with his family and travel to Orlando, play in the AAU Nationals, but he decided to stay in the off-season and work on his shot. He changed his shot from his shoulder to where it is now, and it went from him being a player who averaged 12 points a game to over 26 points a game that following year. Well, same thing with Justin Jennifer. You look at Justin changing his shot. When you see him in practice, it's a totally different player. He's so confident, and he's good enough. He worked himself into that much of shape to put himself in the starting lineup, pushed the preseason American Athletic Conference Player of the Year, Troy Copain, over to the combo guard spot. They trust you enough to play alongside Troy, where I didn't know if you were going to get ran off at the end of last year, and then now here you are in the starting lineup with the preseason Player of the Year, and he trusts you enough to have kickouts and be able to, if Troy's in bailout situations, to find you somewhere in the corners, find you somewhere on kickouts, to read and react, play like windshield wipers, hit shots in transition, find Kevin, find Troy, and be able to, bring Troy now off of the baseline and let him come off some of those screens and feature him like he did Sean Kilpatrick. And, Cronin is really trying to get into the guys had to be more aggressive. And what happened with Justin Jennifer is it's tremendous. I mean, he is a true American story of any player who it's not going well for them, instead of just packing their bags and ready to leave and think the coach has something out for them or coach got favorites. The reason I didn't play is because, coach is tripping. All that stuff that you hear a lot from athletes, no. He got in the gym. He worked his tail off, and here he is a sophomore now. He's listed at 5'10", but he's if he's 5'10", it's because he got some padding in his Under Armour shoes. But he has changed his body, man. He has changed his body, and he is going to be exciting this year for the Cats.
Nice. Sounds like he's been working hard, and of course, Coach has got a lot of faith in him, and it sounds like it's well-earned faith. You mentioned about he thought he might have been a player that considered leaving. That actually kind of relates to your story. A player that was crazy hardworking, and at one point I heard that you had actually kicked around the idea of leaving UC. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, practice was getting really, really hard. I came in out of shape. When you're about to go away, they give you a going-away party.
Uh-huh.
It just so happened that I stayed in a design college dormitory. It was beauty and design. So 400 women and only 20 guys. So they kept throwing these going away parties. And so I kept delaying my arrival at UC. So I'm 2 weeks late where I'm supposed to be, and I'm out of shape. Practice starts, and I kid you not, man, it was so hard. It was so hard. I had no idea what was going on. I mean, I couldn't get from drill to drill. I didn't know what was going on. I was just totally lost. And so finally, I went up to Hugs and said, Hugs, this is not me. I'm going back to Long Beach. He said, what do you mean? I said, I'm ready to throw in the towel, man. I said, he hasn't called me anything that was on my birth certificate. I mean, he's calling me every name except what my mama named me,
Nice.
And it was different for me. And I said, I don't know, I can't take it. And then Hug said, okay, you want to be the dude drinking the 40-ounce under the big tree slapping dominoes the rest of your life? Talking about I could have been here? He goes, take 2 days off. He goes, what you going to do anyway? I said, Coach, I want to do comedy. And he said, you're not that funny. He said, take 2 days off, think about what you're going to do. He said, it's the biggest decision of your life. So I sat on my bed all night, and, I was shooting basketballs in the air, and I just locked myself in my dorm room. I didn't hardly go out other than to, use the restroom because, we didn't have restroom in the Dabney dorms that we stayed in. And I just sat and contemplated all that time of the people that sold into me, that were counting on me to be there. The people, when I played youth sports, I didn't have a father growing up. I never knew my father, so the coaches raised me. And so going over their house all the time and them buying me hot dogs after the game and giving me money for Chico sticks and all the other candy and Gold Rush gum and all the other stuff that you had when you just hanging out, when you had no father, and these guys are building into you. And if you spent the night ever over anybody's house and they fed you in black neighborhoods, they sewn into you, so they feel a sort of a social responsibility to make sure that you're ones that make it. And so here I am going away and playing at a university that's going to get TV games and be on national TV, and nobody in my neighborhood's on national TV, and I'm about to quit and come back home because I can't take it. And so I came back the next day, and I told Hugs, I said, I want to play. I said, I'll do whatever you ask me to do. He goes, I said, take 2 days off. So even though I made my mind up, I'm sitting over there. I'm like, oh, so I went the second day, and I came back. And from that moment, I worked myself, much like Justin Jennifer, I worked myself into shape. I mean, I came early. I stayed late. I did swimming pool in the morning because I had shin splints. 1 hour in the pool is 2 hours on the court. So I was in better shape than those guys who was out there on the track doing preseason conditioning. And I sort of blew past everybody because I couldn't quit now, because I realized that I couldn't go back home. I couldn't let my family down. So a lot of times I came to the gym early. I stayed late. I worked on stuff that I knew I wasn't going to do in the game, but it kept my mind at ease. And I began to study film of Dennis Rodman and other defenders. And I said, you know what, I got to find a way to make myself relevant to this team in order for us to win, because I kind of knew how to get the recipe from my junior college coach, because we went to the state championship and played against Eric and Corey. So I said, I have to take on a different role. And so instead of me quitting, I took on a different role, decided to become a defensive player. I said, I don't even need to shoot the ball anymore, because at that point, I effectively killed my dream of playing in the NBA, because every kid growing up thinks he's going to play in the NBA. And I came to the realization that, you know what, either I'm going to be selfish and try to do stuff that's uncharacteristic of me, or else I want to win. And I decided that I wanted to win. So I just became a defensive player and sacrificed and got myself in the best shape of my life and worked on studying film and doing all the stuff that top defenders do. And before you know it, I worked myself into the starting lineup. We went to back-to-back Final Fours. Final Four and Elite Eight. I keep saying back-to-back because we missed a shot in overtime that could have got us in back-to-back. But, I mean, we had a great time, but it started with the sacrifice of realizing that, hey, either you can quit and go home or you can put in the work and have a story to tell about it and have something to pass down to your generation.
Man, that's awesome.
That is awesome.
Now, that leads into a question I have for you, Terry. What was the single hardest charge you ever took?
Oh, man. Single hardest charge.
I mean, because that's what you did, man. I mean, that's what you did. You got yourself in position. You took that charge.
But they never really hurt me, man, because I know how to do it. It was the acting. You gotta.
Yeah, you sold it a little bit.
They hit you, and then you fly back and you make noise. As long as your feet are still, because the officials are watching a lot of different stuff. They're watching feet. They're watching possession. They're watching position. They're watching if you're in the paint. They're watching if you're bumping. They're watching all this stuff. So a lot of times they're not looking at your shoulders. They're not looking at anything. They watch ball level. And so when they hit me, a lot of times their back is to me.
Okay.
On the baseline. And so the minute that person hits me, I push off and I fly and I make sure my feet go above my head. All right. So I hit that ground and I roll back and I want to roll. I want to make it obvious, just in case he's looking somewhere else, that I've been hit. And a lot of times they don't even see it. They just see me on the ground and they see the guy looking like, what happened? And they'll call the foul the other way.
That's awesome. I remember watching those games with my brother and my dad, and I kept saying, he really could write a book on the art of taking a charge.
It's funny because I am writing a book called Take Charge.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
It's more of a life book.
Yeah.
But the art of taking a charge would be kind of a good DVD, probably.
There you go. There you go, man. That's awesome. And you keep in touch with the guys you were on the team with? The 92 team?
Oh, yeah, man. I keep in touch with all of them. We're in a chat group. We were just talking. Corey and Nick and all of them were just talking today. Eric Martin, we all get a chance. Terrence Gibson, A.D. Jackson.
That's awesome, man.
We used to say, when we played together, we wouldn't go anywhere without all of us. So we were going to the waterfront. We all went down to the waterfront. If we was going to Cincy Deli, we all went to Cincy Deli. If we was going to BW3s, which used to be on Short Vine, we'd all go to BW3s on Short Vine. But it was that kind of togetherness.
Yeah, that was a special team, man. Because that's in my wheelhouse. I graduated from high school in '91, went away for a year, came back. So that was one of the teams I really identified with when we talked about UC basketball. So it's awesome to hear that, man.
People talk about chemistry, and chemistry is great when it's playing chemistry. But there's something about understanding that every person has a role. And when everybody understands their role and accepts their role, you got a special team. Because the problem is, when you don't have guys that play a lot, they always want to prove they can do what the other person who's in there messing up can do. And so instead of them just being true to who they are and saying, you know what, I'm a rebounder. I can go out there and get you 10 boards off the bench. I'm a hustler. I know how to position. I do it. No, they want to, grab a shot, turn around, shoot a jump hook at air balls, or, shoot a 15-footer when somebody kicks it to them instead of, banging and trying to get close to the rim so you can at least shoot it and rebound it back because that's your strength. But guys try to do too much, and they're not true to who they are. And we had a team of people that were true to who they are. Huggins was a master of defining roles. And the minute he put you in a system, when he taught you how to play, open post, motion, and how to read and react on defense, and we all came from either high schools or junior colleges that trapped and pressed. And so we had certain basic principles of understanding how to do the press. But he just took it to a different level because it wasn't like you put 5 guys out there on defense and we're going to talk to you while you're up. No, we did 2-on-2, 3-on-3, 4-on-4, 5-on-5. We would work ourselves up to it. We would do big guys on one end trying to stop a guard going full speed running at you. You got closeouts at half, closeouts at top of the key. You do different angles and different styles of fast breaks, and you're the only defender back. 2-on-1s. We did a lot of defense, a lot of drills that were outnumbered. We had a 5-on-4, 4-on-4 plus 1, we call it. So you have 5 offensive players, one guy going post to post, and 4 defenders, and you got to get 3 stops. We would have 3-on-2 drills, 5-on-4 drills, 4-on-3 drills. So whenever you saw us play, it was like we were on a string because everybody knew where everybody was. And when you have a defense like this, you can always hide one bad offensive player. So that Elite 8 year, we had Lizelle Durden.
Yeah.
Lizelle Durden can light it up. But his freshman year, he couldn't. Well, his sophomore year, because he was Prop 42, Prop 48.
Okay.
His sophomore year, when he first year playing, he could not guard deodorant. I mean, he was just bad. And if he put the ball on the ground, he would. If it took more than 2 dribbles, he would turn it over.
Okay.
But if he was open and he shot it, it went in. And so when Hugs would realize this, he would basically say, hey, we're going to run plays for Lizelle. He was very intentional. He just didn't put Zell in the game because Nick was tired or Terrence was tired. No, Hugs was like, I'll play these guys all game. But I'm only putting you in because you can make threes. So we're going to run some plays for you where you can just catch the ball and shoot. And so when we started doing that, he was effective. Remember the game we played at Miami? We're in that little small arena, and he scores 15 points in a row. We ran the same play called double down. He's the top guard, throw it to the wing. He goes all the way to the baseline, and then he has a choice of coming off the double screen on one side or the single screen on the other. We ran that play about 7 times in a row for him. He made 4 3-pointers, a 2-pointer, and free throws. And then at that time, he missed 2 in a row, and Hugs took him out. We used to get the 2 shots. If he made one of the 2 shots, we would keep running plays for him. And if he didn't, we took him out the game because he could do nothing else. But that's what a good defensive team does, is that you can make up for people that can't play defense, but they can score.
Man. Yeah, that's awesome. Who was on the coaching staff then?
We had, so Huggins, obviously the head coach. Larry Harrison was one of our post coach. He was the wing coach at the time.
Okay.
Chuck Mayshock was our post coach.
All right, Chuck. Okay.
John Lawyer was the guard coach, and Steve Moeller was our chief recruiter.
Okay. All right. Because I know Lawyer, he went on to coach elsewhere.
Yeah. NBA.
And Mayshock is obviously in radio now, you know. But okay, I wasn't sure exactly who all was on that staff, but you guys beat the hell out of each other in practice, didn't you?
Man, he wanted it that way.
Yep.
And we were cool with it because he wants to put you in such mental and physical duress. Like 3-hour practices, hardly any breaks. But then after about the first month, you get used to it and you crave it.
Okay.
And you're looking for the competition. And as players, we started doing stuff like putting the score up on the board every time we're doing drills. And the loser would run the difference. So if they lost by 4, they got to run 4 22s.
Okay.
And at the end of the game, at the end of the day, we would have a 20-minute scrimmage. And we would put the score up on the board, and the loser would have to buy wings and beer. So, and they had to run the difference.
Wow.
I mean, you talk about spirited practices. Whenever we would walk into the locker room, and we would look on the board, and he would write the black team and the red team. And he would switch it up almost every day. And we'd say, if I was on a black team, I'd say, red team, we about to kick y'all. And then we start talking trash. And it'd be on the entire practice because we was competitive because Hugs didn't believe in favorites. Yeah, Nick was going to start. But everybody else had to earn their position almost daily. And so guys was grinding at it, knowing that if I had a good day of practice or 2, I could be in the starting lineup or I could be in the rotation. If I have a bad couple of days of practice, I may not even see the floor. So it kept practice interesting. So, there's trash talking, guys hurt, don't matter. They're going to tape it back up and come back and practice. They're going to play with a limp, patches over their eye, elbow stitches. I mean, you name it. Guys did not miss practice, because if you miss practice, that's a sure way to to not get no playing time. Because you don't never want to let nobody shine that's behind you. I mean, that's just the law of the streets. Mm-hmm. If you playing and you decide that you got the sniffles or you got a twisted ankle and you're gonna miss practice or you're gonna miss a game, and that person who takes your place shines, and the people start feeding for him and calling for him, mm-hmm. Yeah, you've lost your job. Especially when you ain't off to a good start. You lost your job. Mm. So you never want to do that. So you go out there, mentally tough teams play through injuries, they play through pain, they find a way to win, but you have to do it in practice first. I mean, if when you're in preschool, kindergarten, all the upper level, middle school, all that stuff, they say, "Oh, you're hurt, sit down. Put your foot up." Man, you start getting into high school, you may have to go through some practice. You get to college, it ain't even a question. If you can't walk, you sit down, you go get treatment. But if you can walk, you better be in a drill. Because if you're not, there's another guy who's the ninth guy in the rotation who's been waiting on his chance to get extended minutes and let him show what he can do. And if he shines, you just lost about 4 minutes off your minute clock. Mm. Mm. You never let nobody shine in front of you, brother.
Nope. No, not at all.
If you can control
it. Yeah. Hey, James, how are we looking time-wise?
We're doing fine. Actually,
okay.
We do have Birdman will probably be joining us in about 10 minutes or so.
Okay, cool. Well, the reason I asked, I wanted to let Terry have a chance to let us all know what he's doing now and get us caught up with him before we, before we get too far. So, Terry, you want to tell us what's going on in your life now, what all you're doing?
Well, I work at the University of Cincinnati. I run the athletic alumni called the C Club. And so what we do is we do a bunch of events, and I coordinate with all the former letter winners and make sure that we can have enough events and different things to let them know we appreciate them and that we want them back involved in their sport, involved back with the university, helping the current players by mentoring them, by being there for them, supporting them, but letting them know, man, you know, whatever the sport may be, you've got a whole lineage of people that came there, been through there, know what you're doing, know the suffering. We may not have all the amenities that you have and all the gear and the help that you get and all that stuff, but former players is where it is. And so, doing the radio, doing the TV, but more importantly, organizing youth programs to be able to get out in the schools more and in the libraries and rec centers and do more speaking and training and just different things with my Take Charge student leadership, and just really trying to help inner city youth and other kids in general. But inner city youth is a strong focus because there needs to be more intervention in there because there's not as much programming that deals with leadership other than people playing basketball. And sports is a good way to teach leadership principles, and I always believe that every kid should be involved in some type of sport. Mm-hmm. But there also must be intentional training on development, on meditation and different things to teach them how to change their life, teach teens and athletes, because athletes, we do it all the time. We don't even realize that the principles of meditation, we lay on our beds, we think about the game that we're about to play tomorrow or in a couple hours, and we're envisioning ourselves going up and getting a dunk or blocking a shot and all this stuff. And then all of a sudden we get in the game and we do it, and we're like excited because it's like, man, I've been dreaming about this moment. Well, if we can do that in sports, we can do it in every avenue of life. So part of the principles that I teach when I'm going out and speaking is one of my speaking modules is the power of vision. If you can see it, and we have the greatest computer in the world, which is the human brain, and if we can create anything in our brain and stay fixed on it enough and write some stuff down about it and just try to just flesh that thought out to make it a dominant thought. When that thing becomes a dominant thought, it must manifest in your life. And so just teaching kids that, you can change your reality. I don't care if you live in the hood and you ain't got no basketball court around. I didn't have a basketball court, man. We should take the ball from me. You had ball handling drills. Take the ball from me. We should shoot up against the house and so you can hit the same panel every time. That's 2 points. If we didn't have to have a basket, it drove a lot of, people crazy in apartments. With the older couple, they used to get mad because we used to shoot on top of the laundromat, and it kept bouncing against the wall, and he would say, "Come on, man, would you stop shooting the ball?" And I'm like, "My bad." But I think about that now. We didn't have a basketball court. It was broke. But but you find a way to do it. But part of that is you have to be able to see it. You have to have vision. And so, yes, being an athlete and being a director of, the C Club and working with former athletes, that's the fun part. But the really, really exciting part is meeting one-on-one with the, former athletes, with current athletes, and being able to build in them a little bit, hear their story, let them teach me. I'll teach them some of the principles that I've studied through, personal development and through all the conferences and things that I've learned and things that I've acquired in my own study time or was passed down to me from the elders. And I'm just trying to keep it moving by giving what I know to you before I pass out. And that's the currency that we got to take into this new world that we have now is the stories. You got to continue to pass the stories. And so when I deal with former athletes or current athletes, I have to make sure that I'm the keeper of the story. I got to tell them some of the stuff that used to happen before they got here. And I got to pass it on to them so they can be richer. You're as rich as the stories that you hold. And so you got to continue to feed people the history of this awesome program. And even when I meet with former players, whether it be tennis, football, volleyball, and to hear their story and to hear them talk about how, college has changed them and they all use the principles of vision and meditation and creation through, being able to create and see the things that you want to occur in your life, man, it's powerful. I wouldn't change this for a world, for the world.
It's awesome, man.
It sounds like you're very, very busy. It sounds like got a lot going on, which is always a good thing. And then you mentioned about youth sports, of course. Both my co-hosts can relate to that. Mark coaches, and so does Dominick. So, yeah, gosh, it definitely plays a big impact on society, learning leadership. So I agree with you 100% there.
Yeah, sports it's an amazing tool because there's reward and punishment that's instant. I mean, you can see how sports is. Here's the thing about the game of sports. When it's game time, it don't lie. It tells you exactly what you've been doing and to get to that point. And the great thing is that you continue to have games throughout the week or at least once a week, and you can get better every week. You can tell if you're really serious about something because in between game to game, you would have worked on the thing that you messed up in the game because the game is just a test. Practice is where it is because if you can do something over and over and over again, because sports is a conditioned response. That's all it is. You do something until it becomes second nature. And so the great teams have great habits. They just do it correctly every time. They don't do it just to get it done. They do it until they can't get it wrong. They just keep doing it, and it becomes second nature, and it's like spinning plates. Now you go to the next plate. So they'll just keep running the same play. Like think about Butler when they went to back-to-back Final Fours. They ran pretty much the same continuity. You just couldn't stop it because they had so many options off of it, and they just kept moving. They were busy. It's the same thing the Celtics are now. Brad Stevens, he's a great coach because he understands the simplicity of doing something until it is great, not until it's good. And so that's what sports is. And that's what I love about sports is that you can teach so many life lessons because if you are good at something, it's because you've been intentional about being good about it. You work on it. You dream about it. You think about it. You write stuff down about it. You visualize yourself doing that thing. When you're bad about something, you think you're bad. And you don't have the right thoughts. You don't have the right things that are playing in your favor for you. there's a record playing in your mind, whether it's Snoop Dogg or Lenny Kravitz. Something's playing in your mind. You got to be able to make it work for you.
Mm-hmm. I feel like I'm supposed to say like amen or something after that. Is that all right? No, man, that's awesome. That's awesome. Now, are you still doing radio and TV and stuff, Terry?
I am doing my first. I'm gonna say I got 2 TV games this year with Fox Sports. It's like every year it gets a little bit less. Mm-hmm. Because of ESPN and all those guys come in and they buy out all of the games.
Yeah.
And Fox Sports is pretty much last in bidding, and so I know I'll get, and I enjoy them. I get the Lipson game on November 26th, and I get the Fairleigh Dickinson game on December 17th. Both of those games are at 2:30 on Fox Sports Ohio and ESPN3. So, and then with radio, Chuck will do the home games.
Okay.
And he'll do the game out in Connecticut, the tournament. He'll go ahead and do that. And then he'll do the conference tournament. Those will be his 2 road games. And then the other road games, it'll be a combination of me and 3 other people that will be in the rotation to figure out who is going to be the voice of UC.
That's awesome, man. Well, I know I listen to the games, on the radio, and you do a killer job. You add great insight, and it's great hearing it. Hearing from a player who is from the glory days of UC basketball, talking about the current program. I think you do a great job. So,
thank you. I appreciate it. Mm-hmm. I enjoy what I do.
Yeah, well, you do it well.
You're making me smile, young fella.
Hey, don't call me young. I'm about your age. So.
Well, we greatly appreciate you being on the show, and we definitely are going to have you back in the future if you're up for it.
Anytime.
Excellent. Yeah, we're looking forward to the basketball season just like you are. I mean, obviously there hasn't been too much, the season going on so far, just a little bit of exhibition going on. Like I was at the women's exhibition game the other night against Kentucky Wesleyan. And, of course, those games are kind of designed just to get practice for the bigger schools and maybe a nice little, fun experience for the other team. Mm-hmm. But before we went on the air, I wanted to, of course, a little bit of bragging for my alma mater, Northern. Our biggest win, of course, was against your former head coach. We won an exhibition game, 4 or 5 years ago when NKU was still Division II, and we had gotten a bunch of transfers from major colleges. Yeah, and we won like 77, 74, 74, 71, something like that. So, yeah, shoot. Of course, you were, with Coach Huggins for 2 years. You can probably, without using certain words, but you can probably kind of give us an idea of what his response to losing something like that would be.
Hugs doesn't like to lose at all, but the minute you lose to a Division II or any lower-rated team, it just he reminds me of my mom. My mom used to grab whatever she could and she would give us spankings when she was upset. But that wasn't the part that got you. It was the explanation of why she was doing it that made you mad. She'd sit you down like, okay, I love you, but let me tell you why you're going to get this whooping. And you don't want, you would be mentally like crying before you even got the belt or the switch or whatever it was. And so we would come in and we would either lose to a lower-rated team, which we didn't lose to lower-rated teams. We would just play bad. And he would pull up a chair, and he would grab the RPI out, and he would try to teach us. And he was like, okay, our RPI is 33. He said, let's look at theirs. He said, theirs is 247. He said, which means they came into our place for money. So if we're going to give them some money for their program, then we're supposed to beat the crap out of them by 50 or 60 points. And you guys go out there and think you did something because you won by 30. He said, yeah, everybody walk around. They'll pat you on the back. You'll go to the club tonight, and you'll have some drinks. He said, yeah, you'll go out and you'll think you're big stuff. He said, but you guys lost by 30 tonight in my eyes. So I'll see you in the gym on Monday. That kind of stuff, you're like, what? How am I supposed to go out and enjoy that day? You know, I mean, he would just say stuff, and it was like, man, I got an explanation of, I'm thinking that, you know, we did really well. We won by 30. And he broke it down like, no, this team is one of the worst teams in Division I. You're supposed to beat them by 60 because they're only here to get money, and they pretty much going back feeling good. And it just put things in perspective. So back when we played, I mean, that's why he would put subs in with 2 or 3 minutes to go, and they would mess up, and they'd put starters back in because he didn't care. He was, as long as you were on the floor, you were supposed to be able to continue to run the offense, don't get raggedy with the ball, take care of the ball, get back on defense, and play. Yes, you can miss shots. That doesn't bother him. But if you don't run back on defense and compete, if you're just trying to big-time it out there because you're finally in the game and, you know, he ain't giving me no playing time anyway, so I'm just going to go through the motions, well, you'll never get in. And you probably won't even be on the team, or he will run you until you want to quit because he just doesn't believe in no matter what. If you're number 1 on the team or if you're number 13 on the bench, you're supposed to give it your all. If you don't give it your all, he will replace you with a walk-on. And it's pretty much how it goes. I mean, you just when you're playing inferior opponents, you're supposed to treat them that way. There's a reason that you go to the weight room 3 days a week, and you know you're getting 20 suicides before practice even starts. And, you know, you're getting pushed not only in the weight room, but you're getting pushed on the court 3 hours. And there's a reason that we go through box-out drills being hit by bags. And there's a reason that we have to run suicides, and we got to do low-post drills with bags, and we got to play backdoor motion offense with a heavy medicine ball. There's a reason that we go through all that, because when we play teams that are not even supposed to be in our gym, we're supposed to treat them like, okay, maybe next time you better go to Xavier or somebody to play because y'all coming here, y'all going to get beat the same way y'all got beat tonight. And if you don't do that and they walk away feeling good, then he gets on the radio and people don't understand why they're in their car and they're feeling okay about the game, and they get in the car and turn on the radio and hear the post-game show and Hugs is sounding like, you know, his mom died or something. It's because he's like, we were supposed to beat that team by 60. He wanted to give the fans a great show, and we only won by 20. And he's like, he's dejected. He's talking about how much we didn't rebound, how much, you know, but he's telling you particular instances that happened during the game. It's like, man, he remembers everything. But he just lets you know that, you know, winning is not sometimes. You don't even look at the score. Did you play your best every possession? Did you do what you were supposed to do every possession? If not, take the number of possessions that you didn't do well and try to eliminate everything that's in those possessions that caused them to score or get open looks. And I guarantee you that if you do that, you'll be able to play with any team in America.
Thanks. Yeah, shoot, that was one of the things I was impressed with the other night with Coach Elliott. I mean, they were up. Of course, they were going to beat Kentucky Wesleyan, and she was still getting on him about the little things, about the rebounding, about making that extra pass. That that they're the dedication to winning, which is nice to see in a coach. Because I'm not going to lie, there's probably a lot of coaches out there that probably would when they're in a game like that they know they're going to win, would throw in the the backups and just say, hey, just do your best or do whatever. But yeah, that is nice to hear about Huggins' dedication to winning and to the craft, that he would still expect the best out of them.
Yeah, good coaches are addicted to winning. I mean, they know the feeling of winning. It's like being a gambler. If you know the recipe how to win, then you want to make sure that each and every kid understands that, even the walk-ons who don't get in the game, because sooner or later, throughout a season, you're going to have some of your better players are going to be hurt, and your walk-ons are going to be valuable to you, and so they have to be functional. But good coaches understand that winning is addictive, and when it's addictive, you want that feeling all the time. And in order to get that feeling all the time, you've got to be a great teacher, but then you have to put them through every possible scenario in practice and make it hard for them, almost like Hunger Games. You got to put them through every possible scenario that's hard and make them fail. They have to fail. They have to experience failure. They have to experience the lessons that failure teaches you, because it makes you come earlier, makes you stay later, it makes you focus a little bit more, because you athletes have pride. They don't want to be embarrassed. You have the girlfriend or friends in the stands, and they want to put on a good show. And so when you lose at home, you already see what's happening with football. When you lose at home, fans don't take it well. And to an athlete's pride, they don't want to lose, so they're going to do whatever it takes to make themselves better.
So it sounds like that was your philosophy during your 3 years at Western Hills.
Oh yeah, I tried to be like Hugs my first 2 games, and we were 0-2. And I realized, I said, you know what, I can't be that. I'm an encourager. I can be tough on you, but I can be tough on you talking about the things that I want to see, because I think you'll be a great player, opposed to yelling at a kid for turning the ball over or making mistakes. No, they're going to do that because they haven't been taught fundamentals. And even the best players make mistakes, but you want to eliminate them through the teaching of good fundamentals. But you want to make sure that Joe Harrington, who used to coach at Colorado and Long Beach State, when he was recruiting me back in high school, he said something I'll never forget. He said, Terry, you'll never know how good you are as a player and how good you can become as a player until you're in the best shape of your life. He said, because there's only certain things that you can do when you crack your ceiling. When you do stuff that you never thought you can do, he says, then you're going to be in a whole different realm. Because when you think you don't have enough juice and you're ready to quit, if you can just push a little bit further and a little bit further each time, and you have to be pushed to that level. A coach, you have to be the point where you're ready to quit, and then push a little bit more, push a little bit more, and the coach got to put his arm around you, and he got to play the games with you. You got to get your mind all messed up, and make you want to call your mama, and your mama have to talk you back in the stand. He got to play with your mind a little bit, and got to meet you at 5 a.m, make you run, and some things at nighttime. He got all these things to break you. But once he breaks you, every coach is a master potter, and they want to put you back together in their image. That's the old Humpty Dumpty thing. You want to put you back together in the coach's image of toughness, and I don't care I made a mistake. I'm ready to go through a brick wall for this team and for this university and for the guys in this locker room, for what it means to be a brother, because adversity is what brings people together. And so once you understand that, yes, I taught that at Western Hills because I've been through it, and it's easier for me to teach it to guys who were just coming from, some of them broken homes, others just, working families, people trying to make it, hoping that, one day that my kid can play in college and eliminate that cost. And so every parent would love their kid to get a scholarship. And I'm like, look, you come, you work here, I guarantee you're going to be fundamentally tight, whether it's Division I, II, III, NAIA, or just going to a junior college to further your stuff, or prep school. This is not your last stop here. And so you want to make sure that you can start breeding that and getting high school kids to buy into the fact that quit listening to my boys, quit listening to my family, because sometimes family can mess it up for you. You got uncles that have never been to the gym with you, and all of a sudden they want to come in town and tell you everything that you should be doing and all that because they see some talent in you, and they're trying to give you a little money here and there because they want to pay off in the end. Everybody has something that they want from you. And so once you get them in the high school level, got to be real with them.
Mm. So, Dominick, any final thoughts?
No, because the thing about it is I remember when I was a young kid at UC. I was a young kid at UC basketball camp, Huggins basketball camp, and the funniest part about it, Terry, you was actually helping with it, and you were saying the exact words, talking about if you want to do this and be better and good at it, you got to repeat it and do it over and over, not just do it here, but also do it outside. And that right there, from that day, I took that advice and took it into mine to help me grow, and that right there helped with my success.
That's right. And hold on to that and everything that you do. You gotta put the work in. Be a little early. Stay a little late. As I talk to you now, I'm sitting in my office. It's 11:30. I'm sitting in my office. I mean, I'm getting some study in.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about, is being dedicated. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to be able to, you got to find your sweet spot. And when you find that sweet spot, you got to be willing to do what nobody else is willing to do.
Exactly. I just have one more question. What made Bob Huggins like the great coach? What was that one thing that made him a great coach?
What makes Hugs a great coach is his ability to teach. He's a tremendous teacher. He breaks everything down to where he teaches it in components. I don't know how old you are, but I don't know if you guys remember what component sets are. Component sets. They were radios that had, you can like detach the speakers and detach the tape deck, and you can have them like in different parts. It was 5 different components. Well, that was called the component set. And Huggins would break the defense or the offense down into manageable components to where for 10 minutes of practice we're going to work on, 3 on 0, and then we're going to work on 2-man game. And then we're going to work on 4 on 0. And then we're going to work on 5 on 0. And then we're going to put in some defense. And then, so he would make it manageable and chewable, and he would give you some grace to learn it. But once you learned it, he would turn up the fire. And then he wanted to eliminate mistakes. And even though he's calling a play out and the defense knows exactly what you're running, he's telling you to find the second and third and fourth option and run it, and then get to the point where you're running a play, but the ball ends up in the hands of the person who should be shooting it. And I think in some programs, at the end of the shot clock, the ball ends up in the hands of people who can't shoot. And great defensive teams understand that. You want your worst shooters percentage-wise, because all great coaches will let their players know who the worst shooters are, and all teams know. If you ever play pickup ball and you playing against a guy and you guarding him and he's like pump faking at 3-point line, you like, shoot it. Go ahead. Shoot it. Go ahead. He can't shoot it. He's self-checked. You saying all this stuff to try to get the guy out of his game. And now he's conscious of the fact that he, airball one, hit the side of the backboard on the other. But what makes Huggins so good is he's a great teacher, and then he enforces his teaching with you being accountable. He's not going to let you slide. He's not going to let you be lazy. He's not going to let you go through the motions. He's going to push you every day. Every day he wants to see game time repetitions. He's not going to let you slide. He's going to ride you. He don't care if you're Kenyon Martin, Danny Fortune, Nick Van Exel, Melvin Levitt, Ruben Patterson. He's going after you, and he's going to light a fire under you. And when you respond, he doesn't mind if you talk back, as long as you talk back and you know what you're talking about. Don't just be talking back or whatever, but have an argument, because he wants to light a fire under you. He wants you just the way he is. He wants you pissed. He wants you playing with an attitude. That's why he loved Danny. He loved Ruben, loved Kenyon. He loved our team. He loved Bobby Brennan. He loves guys that play with a fierceness. Steve Logan. Melvin Levitt. He likes guys that plays with a passion and a fierceness. Like, you coming in my gym, you're not coming out of here without bleeding. And we're going to go on the road. We're going to beat you because we just tougher, just mentally tougher. I can play through your crowd. I can play through the officials. We're just going to be mentally tougher. And so he prepared you depending on the whole toughness thing was a season-long thing. But every game we had a specific scouting report to snuff out the top 2 scorers, because no team in college has a third scorer that can beat you, that can win a game. And our thing was, I would be on the number 1 post player, and Terrence Gibson would be on the number 1 guard, or A.D. Jackson, or Anthony Buford. And we would take out your perimeter player and take out your low post player. And if basically, even if the guard was going, if I took out your number 1 scoring threat down low, it's very hard for one person to carry a team against a great defensive team. And so we would win more than we lost once Hugs realized my value, and that I was a defensive stopper. I didn't need the ball. I'll set screens. I'll move the ball. nobody's going to guard me. So if nobody's going to guard me, I can set on-the-ball screens for Nick and free him up. And so I created value for the team because there was extra shots because I didn't need any. I can get rebounds, kick them back out, and I play defense. But he understood that. So what made Hugs good, I'll leave you with this last point, what made him good, he knows every talent that's on his roster, and he uses it in crucial times for the team. He knows how to use three-point shooters, rebounders, guys that can handle the ball. He's evolved as a coach to where he is now, to where he finds out what's best for the team, and he'll adapt his strategy to the talent that he has. I mean, for a while, he didn't do the pressing. It wasn't Press Virginia. He was just running. You know, he had different teammates and different players, and he couldn't do the stuff. And now he's back to how he originally likes to coach. Toughness, good guards, low post physicality, and, you know, being able to have at least one guy that I can get the ball to and he can get you buckets. That's what makes him good.
Oh, yeah. That's why it's so successful.
Gentlemen, I really appreciate this time, man. This has been awesome.
Hey, man, thanks for coming on, Terry. That was great.
No problem. Hope I see you guys at a Bearcat game. If you see me, make sure you stop and say hello so I know who you are.
It's definitely a pleasure.
All right, my brother.
Over next week's guest, we got Lamar DeBerry, and the following week we got Marvin Gentry, Eric Hicks. We got some good ones coming up. I can't imagine it'll match tonight's show, but still should be a lot of fun.
Oh, those guys are awesome. Yeah, it will definitely match. Probably supersede tonight's show. I tell too many stories.
You can't tell too many stories. That's the best part about the show is hearing all the stories, and definitely it sounds like there's a lot more for you to tell next time. You know, some of your stand-up routine stories and all, and we look forward to hearing them.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you, brother.